strategist, that man here, and you might as well call me your accidental polymath today. Why accidental? Because sometimes when you dive deep into a subject, you end up diving too deep and end up seeing things. Anyway, things like connections, connections everywhere, new things to be discovered, and new knowledge to absorb, more than you initially thought and initially planned for. Anyway, that's what happened to me when I tackled IBM Product Owner Professional Certificate. And today I'm not just going to tell you about it, I'm not just going to teach you about product ownership and go over all of it, basically, so you don't have to. We are going to do a full-blown show and tell. We're going to discuss what it really means to be a product owner, that crucial bridge between vision and value. And I'll be using my capstone project, building out an e-commerce platform called Backlog Tools as our real-world playground, basically. No fluff, no complex theories, just the core. Simplified all the way, just for you, because you know I got you, yeah? So, if you're ready to learn how to truly own your projects and products and deliver massive value, especially if you're eyeing complex initiatives like AI, let's say, then stick around and let's own it up together. Hey, sorry for being cringe. Alright, so first things first. What even is a product owner? The books will tell you they maximize product value or manage backlog or represent stakeholders, and it's true. That's basically what they do. But through my own deep dive and what I've noticed myself, a PO is a jack of all trades, master of many. They need the grasp of business, a feel for technology, an empathetic understanding of users, communication skills, lots of communication skills. That's the thing that weaves it all together. And they are the ultimate owner of the why and what behind any product. So let's break down some of their core powers, their key responsibilities, and I'll show you how this played out in my uh, own project. Let's go. Every great product starts with a clear vision. The PO is the keeper of this flame. They don't just dream it up in isolation. They work with sponsors and stakeholders to define it and then constantly communicate it to the development team. Okay, so I keep talking about vision, and I need you to take a look at how you basically construct a vision statement. I talked about this before in uh, Hello Strategy, the video, the first video in Strategize that I made. And in product management and product ownership, we still need a product vision, a vision for our product. This is a bit different. That everything that we're talking about right now is at a role level, while what we were talking before is at an organizational level. So there's a difference, but the difference is not that huge. You kind of roll down from the organizational level, the strategy level, and trickle down to role level. Anyway, take a look at this. You see a vision statement here. It's an example vision statement. And just to be sure, this is wrong. Just to tell you, this is not correct. It is technically correct, but it shouldn't be like that. Look, a vision statement is there. So whenever you feel lost, you can understand, oh, this is the vision, this is the alignment, that's the North Star. That's where I'm trying to go. That's what I'm trying to achieve. So the vision statement should be really short and it should directly or indirectly include these five elements. Four, you need to understand what your product is for. Like, who is it for? Basically, your stakeholders. After you do your stakeholder analysis, you can watch the video there. Then you understand, like, okay, so I know my stakeholders. This product is for which stakeholders? There might be some different stakeholders um, than the ones that you picked for, organizational level strategy, stakeholder analysis. But for your role as a product owner or a product manager, this will suffice. And the who part, it comes after. Okay, check this out. For busy individuals, urban gardeners, and plant enthusiasts who have these problems and pain points or have these things that are important for them, like consumers seeking a simple, reliable solution for plant care. In this case, simplicity and reliability is the key part. This defines the who part. This helps us understand who we are trying to serve with our product here. And then a clear definition of our product provides real-time plant health insights, automated watering, and personalized care recommendations through a user-friendly mobile app. That traditional manual care methods and basic monitoring devices, which are often unreliable and time-consuming, don't provide, unlike ours that provide yada yada yada. You can use time that and unlike interchangeably. Again, this one is a bit wrong. So I would use part, that part to highlight what the market lacks and highlight what the market would look without us in it. And then the unlike part would be about what we are trying to accomplish, what we are trying to complete.
In my capstone, the project was for Preferred Tools, a company wanting to expand its e-commerce presence. The vision was clear: create a robust digital platform to better service builders, engineers, and DIY enthusiasts, eventually expanding internationally and even integrating AI. The initial goal for a simulated project was to get the US e-commerce platform off the ground with its foundational features.
And it's not just the big picture. For every work cycle or sprint, as we call it in Agile, the PO defines a specific sprint goal. This keeps the team focused.
My capstone defined the goals for the first Beforetool sprint. Sprint 1 was foundation and core features. Sprint 2 was focusing on AI features and order tracking. And Sprint 3 was about customer support and reviews. Crystal clear.
This is the PO's command center. The product backlog is a living, breathing, prioritized list of everything the product might need, features, fixes, enhancements, you name it. The PO owns this. They're constantly grooming it and playing around with it. adding details, and crucially prioritizing.
In the Managing Backlog lab for Before Tools, we would have taken user needs like, as a user, I want to register my account, or as a user, I want to search products.
This is called a user story, and it's created with this DNA. As a role, I want to do an action so that I can gain a value, I can achieve a goal. For example, as a Taco Bell enjoyer, I want to go to the toilet so I can explode. The IBM course highlights its three C's of a user story. The three C's include the card, the conversation, and confirmation. The card is the user story itself. You usually write the user story on a card in a Kanban. It has to be concise and direct. Conversation is the ongoing dialogue with the team and stakeholders to clarify things, and confirmation is the acceptance criteria, what proves the work is done. Here's a look at the Kanban board I set up in GitHub. A project, you can see how we list out user stories like, as a user, I want to register my account or whatever. As a user, I want to search for products, whatever. Our job as POs was to take these, understand their business value, and often prioritize frameworks with prioritization frameworks like Moscow. Moscow was like things that are must have, things that I should have, things that I could have, things that I won't have. Then we consider dependencies, estimate effort using something called story points. I'll get there. And then rank them. A good backlog is deep. It is detailed appropriately, it is emergent, it is estimated and prioritized. Now let's take a look at this and see how the Kanban should look like. Okay. This is your bread and butter. This is what you will be working with most of your job. This is your administrative uh, place basically. This will be one of your, you know, bookmarks. So you put your epics down here in the new issues, and then one by one turn them into user stories. Break down your epics into user stories in here. Then you either put them in the icebox or the product backlog. So what is icebox and what is the product backlog? I'll get to it, but let's say get here, done. Okay. So now you're preparing for a sprint. You have an icebox and a product backlog. So you put things in icebox and product backlog from all the user issues that you made, the new issues that you put here, the epics that you turned into user stories. You can use this for just the epics and put all the user stories in the icebox in the beginning. Then you put the work that has to be done in the product and has prioritized, has some priority and has importance into the product backlog. And the things that you cannot work on, or the dependencies aren't met, or I don't know, they're too long for this sprint or whatever, they remain in the icebox. So then you put things from the product backlog into the sprint backlog when you're actually doing the sprint. And after the sprint is done, you should see an empty sprint backlog. This is what it should look like, basically. In here, you see people picked up tasks and it says in progress. Now, when tasks get done, they go to get peer reviewed and go through QA and testing. And after they're done, they go to done. Now, what does any one of these look like? Yeah, let's take a look at the finished one here. Yeah. Here's a user story. As a store administrator, I need to be able to retrieve product details so that I can check product information. And you have your details here, your assumptions here, your acceptance criteria, given A. You see this, given A product ID with 123 exists in the catalog. When I get a request to the API using product ID 123, then I receive a JSON response containing all product details. This is how you basically write the acceptance criteria. It has a given A, when I, then I. And here we have two acceptance categories, acceptance criteria. And what else is there to show? Um, Here you assign it to people in here. I mean, people come and pick up their jobs and their tasks that they want to do, but you assign them here, or they assign themselves to the job and or task. And here there are labels, and this is important. The normal GitHub has all the correct labels. The only things that you might need to add is technical debt. Technical debt is really important because you need to keep a lookout on these things. These things keep amassing and they keep piling up, and then and then your work will be a huge nightmare. Take a look at these, and if your GitHub doesn't have these, add them. And yes, these are standard. The colors are standard. So you can just use the colors based on these. And yes, we usually put technical debt either orange or yellow, but the yellow in here is invalid. Oh, and the white is one fix. Like, I don't have to fix this. I don't have to work on this. So you create a user story, put your assumptions there, put your acceptance criteria, label it. Then what's next? Put the milestone in it, in here. Anything else? No. And then you just come here and look at how the work has been going on. This is how it looks in GitHub. While this is a basic example of a project, but this is how in a standard way it should look like, and it should end up looking like. I personally put my epics here and put everything that I don't, all the user stories and everything that I built, or the cards that I built in the icebox, and then put them into product backlog and then sprint backlog when a sprint happens. And as I said, then it goes into in progress and QA, and then it comes here to done. And for every new product, you basically make a new one of these Kanban boards. But this is the structure of every card and everything that I told you about. What's most important to build next so we can deliver maximal value? That's the PO's constant question. And it's not just a to-do list, it's a strategic roadmap of value delivered. A product owner is a master communicator and a collaborator. They are the central hub connecting the development team, business leaders, sponsors, actual customers, and end users. Also, any other sort of stakeholders that you might have in your project or product. Sorry. The capstone emphasized on this heaven. We learned about working with the project sponsor who defines the initial vision and resources. In strategy, you define it all yourself. You basically extract the vision and you budget all the resources. But when it comes to a single product within a whole organization, it's different. So anyway, we had to consider key stakeholders for feedback on requirements and find out dependencies and other things. And of course, like we have to absolutely include the end users, the people who will end up actually using the tool.
It's not just about sending emails, it's about active listening, negotiation, managing expectations, and entrusting transparency. If the marketing team has a brilliant idea for a product, the PO needs to understand it, see how it fits, and communicate that effectively to the development team.
Agile and specifically Scrum has these regular meetings or ceremonies that keep things moving. The PO is the key player in most of them, if not all. Like kickoff. The capstone started here. For Beffa Tools, this was about setting the stage or beginning everything basically, aligning everyone on the vision of the product and the initial plan. Sprint planning. Before each sprint, the PO presents the highest priority items from the backlog. Basically, backlog is all we need done. You do this in a Kanban table. I recommend using GitHub because the dev team is already there. The team figures out how much they can commit to every work that they want to pick up. If you're working on Scrum and you're using Scrum and Agile methodologies, you need to let the team pick up their own work. If you do everything on based on Scrum and you don't do this, you're just acting like you're using Scrum. The team has to pick up their own responsibility. Then we measure how big a job is. Like we use t-shirt sizes like it's small, medium, large, or Fibonacci numbers like 1, 3, 5, 8, 13. And on based on this, we forecast how long it will take for the project for us work to be done, tasks to be done within a sprint. Like a one would be something that could take less than a day, like a couple of hours. A three would be something that could be done in 1 day, maximum 2, 3 days. A five is a 2, 3 day thing, half a week thing, and eight and 13 is like sometimes a week, sometimes 10 days. But again, this is subjective because a team can be really effective and efficient, or they'll be like really trying to crunch together and speed through speed through something. So you might end up having a 13 done within a 5 day timeline, or even a 21 done in less than a week. It can happen, but it's unlikely usually. So that's why we make this differentiation of the size of the work, and we plan our timing based on that, but we know that what we're putting numbers on them, these numbers don't represent anything time bound. It's basically the how hard the work is. The next item is sprint review. At the end of a sprint, the team shows what they've built and the stakeholders feedback on them, give feedback on what they are seeing. Imagine demoing the project that you just made, like demoing the search function of it. This was a task, a user story that you've done it and you're showcasing it. This is when it happens. The PO facilitates this. And then we have sprint retrospectives. This is about the constant iterative process of Scrum and Agile. It's about continuous improvement. What went well? What went wrong? How can we be better? How can we stop things from going wrong? The PO often participates in these ceremonies to gain insight. Anyway, these aren't just meetings for meeting's sake. They are structured touch points to ensure alignment, inspect progress, and adapt. The PO guides the product direction through these ceremonies. Okay, let's get our hands dirty. I want to walk you through some specific parts of my IBM product owner capsule project. For this project's name, Before Tools, for this Before Tools specific project. Anyway, so think of this as more of me opening my labs notes. This is the show and tell part that I was raving on about. The core project was Before Tools, an e-commerce site that we were working on. We weren't just learning theory, we were simulating the entire process of bringing this platform to life, starting with the very first artifact. First off, truly understanding who we're building for and what problems we'll solve. One of the first things a PO needs is empathy. We build personas that are fictional representations of our key users. For B4 tools, I developed a persona, let's say for a professional contractor. This involved defining their goals, their challenges, and their drivers. This persona became a reference point for all future decisions. Is this feature valuable to this persona or not? All these questions, basically, whenever I want to delegate something or have something to do with someone, I can come back to this uh, persona analysis that I have done and decide what work I'm going to do or how I'm going to work with them based on this. It's a useful tool to have. It's not a must have, but it's a should have. Most people don't have these because it's too analytical and sometimes a bit too much. But I still say it's a good thing to have, and if you can put time and effort into it, you will get results. With our users in mind, then we look into the bigger picture with a tool like Lean Canvas. The Lean Canvas is a fantastic one-page strategic tool. We define a problem, define a solution, and our unique value proposition, identified customer segments, and even thought about key metrics for success and revenue stream. This aligns everyone on the business model before diving deep into features. You see it here. It's a lean canvas element, the problem, the solution, the unique value proposition, unfair advantages, customer segments, key metrics, channels, cost structure, and revenue stream. So, like a product would be um, Outdated manual inventory system hinders efficiency. The problem, inventory transportation is slow and inconsistent. Frequency is whatever month, whatever. Solution would be like these. The unique value proposition for this product would be revolutionizing inventory management for a seamless manufacturing operation. Unfair advantages are listed here. Customer segments are listed here. We usually do it in internal and external. Your product is usually internal and external, but you might have some third party options here, maybe government or something. Just um, categorize them like this. But yeah, this is just internal and external. And if there's a special case of some customer segment that is special to you, you just put it here as a something that you need to, keep a lookout for. The key metrics you put in here, the channels, construct cost structures, and revenue streams for their products. It doesn't have to be just 3 entries. You can have more, but this is again standard practice, and um, yeah, this is how it should look like.
In the creating initial artifacts, we had to define the goal and vision for our tools. The goal, as I mentioned, was expansion. The vision was a seamless customer experience. But then we got granular. We broke down the platform into epics, large bodies of work for tools. Epics were things like customers and guest management, tools catalog, custom tool process, and shopping cart checkout. Under each epic, we defined features for support. Cart checkout feature might include things like add to cart, guest checkout, secure payment, and then the magic ingredient, user stories. This is how a PO translates needs into actionable items for the dev team. The format is key. As a type of user, I want to take an action so that I can take this benefit or I can enjoy this value.
Look at that. Simple, clear. The so that part is really vital. It explains the value. For before tools, we wrote stories for registering, searching, viewing product info, and the whole 9 yards. This lab was foundational. It was about a big idea, the before tools e-commerce, and breaking it down into manageable, value-driven pieces. And here you can have a look at some user stories. These are some example user stories, you know, extra user stories for you to just take a look at. Okay, we talked about stakeholder analysis, and you can find it up there again. But again, this one is at the role level. This is a simple stakeholder analysis for yourself. It's personal, and you need to do this and have something like this ready for yourself so you can, manage your communications better. Look, like in this example, we have stakeholders, David Johnson as a Scrum Master, and the current state is like highly experienced, works independently. Like the readiness level on Tuckerman's ladder is like performing. Recommended strategy for communication is delegate, maintain regular check-in, trust his experience and knowledge contribution. So in this way, you are analyzing your communication strategy with the stakeholder while also having a lot of relevant information about them. Now, what is Tuckman ladder? So, Tuckman ladder model is one of the models used to describe the process or different stages of team development. Like these stages are forming, storming, forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, as you see in this graph. And usually the effectiveness of the team follows the same kind of curve. At the forming, everything is new, we're all friends, we just got to know each other. In the storming stage, we're kind of storming, trying to get this get rid of this friction. We have some friction because we, like it or not, we just met and we are storming right now. We're trying to figure out our differences and our different processes, and then norming, we're normalizing, and then we go to performing. We get to be really good together. We get to be a really performant team, and then we adjourn, and that's it. Module 2 was delivering value to customers. Here we dived into the mechanics of a sprint for before tools, the very first simulated sprint that we had. Our goal was foundation and core features. Then we had to define our definition of done, the DOD. This is huge. It's a shared understanding across the team of what complete means for any piece of work. We need to keep this DOD in mind and keep the output in check with the DOD. For before tools features, the DOD might have included things like if code is written correctly and is peer reviewed or tested, test unit tests pass, or the documentation were updated, or if it meets the acceptance criteria for the user story.
Acceptance criteria are specific conditions a user story must meet to be accepted. For instance, in the later stages of before tools, for a user story like as a customer in Germany, I want to browse the entire website in German, the acceptance criteria would be crystal clear. Given I am on any page of the Before Tools website, when I see Deutsch from the language sector, then all text on the page should immediately translate to German. It's testable and it's clear.
We even created a communication plan outlining who needs what info, when and how. Again, the PO is the central communicator in all of this. Now, this is where my brain lit up and where this all connects to the future, especially AI. The capstone didn't just stop at basic e-commerce site. Sprint 2 for Before Tools dedicated to AI features and order tracking. And the final project in this sprint was about expanding Before Tools internationally and adding multilinguistics and things like multi-currency support.
Think about that. As a product owner for Before Tools, suddenly you're not just dealing with simple product listings. You're defining requirements for an AI feature. The customer feedback from Sprint 2 even mentioned things like the AI assistant is helpful but could be faster, and the custom tool design process is innovative. This is real input.
What does that look like in terms of your work? You're writing user stories such as these. As a before tools shopper, I want the AI assistant to provide instant design feedback so that I can iterate on my custom tools quickly. Or as a tool admin, I want to see metrics on the AI assistant usage so that I can understand its effectiveness, even if it's even useful at all. You're working with the team to define acceptance criteria for these AI features. How do you know the AI assistant is any good? You're prioritizing these complex AI features in their backlog. This part of the capstone was invaluable. It showed me firsthand the foundational skills that I need as a PO: clear vision, meticulous backlog management, strong user story writing, stakeholder alignment, understanding value, and even more. And we didn't just build, we measured, we tracked key metrics.
For before tools, our team's velocity started at 50 story points in sprint 1, ramped up to 60 in sprint 2 as we built those AI features, and then 40 in sprint 3. What's velocity? Remember I said we give user stories numbers to measure how long it'll take? Remember the t-shirt size and the Fibonacci stuff? As the PO, we measure how much the team gets done in every sprint by summing up all the tasks that met the DoD. Our defect density, that's defect per story point, was lowest in sprint 3 as a solid 0.05. Here, look at how it's calculated. After a slight increase to 0.83 in Sprint 2 during the complex AI build, an improvement from 0.06 in Sprint 1, and our average cycle time for completing user stories was best in Sprint 3 at just 2.5 days. This data is gold for a PO to understand a team's performance and plan better. There are also tools like velocity planning, velocity calculators, and this is how it should look like. Basically, it has a last sprint velocity part that has these parts in the description, and the adjustments are just data entry, and comments are like the comments that you have for each and every one of them. And then the story points, the actual story points themselves. And you have last sprint velocity, the improvements that you made on them, the deductions, and updated velocity. You need to do this between sprints so you can understand like how your velocity is looking and how the team is progressing. Are they getting better at working with each other, or is the work um, getting stuck or not? And whatever you use these, you use this to analyze your Scrum team basically. This is an example, and this is a done example for you to look how it should end up looking like. Of course, these are mostly just, you know, numbers, but I put some comments and explanations in here for you to understand what's going on. And you see the overall sprint velocity is 8. This was an example. The sprint was 1 week, and it should end up looking like this, but this is again too low of a number for a usual team of 3-5 people
they can achieve way more than 8 in 1 week. All this planning and tracking culminates in something like a release plan. Here's an example for it. It shows which user stories are targeted for which sprints and highlights dependencies like user story X must be done before Y, or story Y is like that, or whatever. And it gives us a roadmap to launch. This involves careful capacity planning and often uses tools like network diagrams or visuals to visualize the flow. Something like this or a UML.
And it wasn't just numbers. We got direct qualitative feedback, for instance, after Sprint 1, while customers found registration easy, they also said the checkout process could be faster. And the team felt the testing phase felt rushed. This kind of feedback is crucial for the sprint retrospective, helping us identify exactly what to improve next. That's continuous improvement in action.
So we've journeyed through the before tools capsule. I keep saying before tools, it's default tools, or I don't know. I just got used to it anyway. You've seen the show and tell. What does this journey means for you and your projects? It means understanding the superpower every truly effective product owner wields. This is the product owner checklist table. It was meant to highlight a few key skills for technical processes and other things. Like you can see, it is highlighting data analysis in the category of technical, and it defines the skill and why the skill is important for you. Domain knowledge, software tools, expertise, technical literacy, user experience, agile methodologies, backlog refinement, business acumen, roadmap development, story writing, user story writing, that is, time management, visionary thinking, facilitation, influencing, negotiation, stakeholder management, verbal communication, written communication, and so on. The capstone wasn't just about theory, it was about practice. We practiced hard skills like Agile and Scrum expertise. The entire capstone is deeply with it. We live and breathe Scrum ceremonies and artifacts for B4 tools. Backlog management. We manage and prioritize the B4 tool backlog in multiple tabs. Technical literacy. While we didn't code this tool, we had to understand technical dependencies, especially for the AI features. A PO needs to speak enough tech to be credible. And data analysis. As you saw in the metrics like velocity or defect density, PO uses data to make more informed decisions, and a lot more than what we saw in those project products and the capstone project. Also, we developed soft skills like communications and collaboration. This is the PO's lifeblood, basically. Every part of the project simulation required prioritization. Deciding what feature comes first was a core PO function we practiced. Leadership and influencing, guiding the project and guiding its efforts even without having direct authority. Adaptability was another one. The capstone had labs on managing issues and roadblocks, and managing new requirements from key stakeholders because uh, change is inevitable. User-centric thinking. Every user story started with as a user, keeping the focus on who we are actually building for. This capstone journey, this path, wasn't about memorizing definitions, it was about internalizing these skills through practical application. Being a PO isn't always smooth sailing. You will face conflicting stakeholder demands, unclear requirements, and scope creep. Technical debt problems as well. Conflicting stakeholder demands like when marketing asks for X but sales want Y and tech says Z is hard to do and you have to navigate through this as a PO. Unclear requirement is basically your bread and butter. The PO's job is to bring clarity into these requirements. And about scope creep, well, you have to say this a lot. Can we add this one? Can we add this little thing? Like you try to squeeze things into the sprint. That's basically what you're trying to do more. This is what you're trying to say more. I promise you. The PO guides the sprint goal, and you have to be an active participant in it. Although people pick up the jobs for themselves, you have to, you end up pushing jobs to people, like it or not.
Technical debt is quick fixes that create long-term problems if we don't fix them now. We just have to become Nike and just do it. The PO needs to help the team balance new features with paying down the debt. The Before Tools team feedback even noted we need more time for documentation and technical debt in Sprint 3. It's a real world concern.
A great PO doesn't run from these; they own up to it. They use their skills to find solutions. Now let's bring it home. Why am I, that man, so passionate about these product owner principles? And why should you care? Especially if you're venturing into the world of artificial intelligence. Because in the realm of AI or any new tech that is complex and again new, where projects can be incredibly complex, experimental, and yes, very expensive, a strong product owner is the single most important de-risking factor. Think about it. AI without clear user problems. Is it even solving anything? It's just wasted effort. The PO champions the user. AI without clear business values or business value proposition. That's just money down the drain. The PO ensures alignment with business goals. AI development without prioritizing backlog and clear user stories. That's just chaos. The PO brings order. AI features without defining acceptance criteria or definition of done. You'll never know what's working and what's not finished. The PO defines success. My future AI work, my consultancy work. It's all about this fundamental understanding. Before we even talk algorithms or data models, we talk value, vision, users, and we make sure there's a product owner mindset guiding this shift. Whether it's me, someone on your team that we empowered, or dedicated PO, this journey through this capstone solidified for me that mastering product ownership is non negotiable. for my own AI tasks and my own success. Now, want to make absolutely sure that your next big project, especially if it involves AI, is built on a rock solid foundation of values from day one? I got you. Follow for more business topics I personally been involved with and felt with my flesh and blood. Follow me on socials and check my website with the link in my channel page. I update these tools and templates whenever I can and I share them. Yes, it's free. And no, you don't have to share data with me. And no, I don't want to take advantage of you. I want you to have all you need so you can create and grow a successful business without having to jump to all these different places, especially for these really important niche things like strategy. The wrong template can get you to the wrong direction and you can say goodbye to your alignment altogether. All right, that's our deep dive into the world of product seen through the lens of a strategist and told through a capstone project. I hope this show and tell from your friendly accidental polymath has given you some serious food for thought and actionable insight. Remember, learning is a continuous journey and you have to embrace it and own it up. And you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. If this brought you some value, you know what to do. Please smash that like button. Subscribe for more real world strategy and business lessons and self improvement, of course. Drop a comment below on what's the biggest PO challenge that you face or what AI projects are you dreaming of. This has been That Man Who Laughs. Keep learning, keep strategizing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.